All right, what do computers eat for lunch? They eat microchips. Okay, let's get into it. Keep it short and sweet today. Today, we are starting our new topic. It's technically called numbers of any magnitude. Long story, we're just talking about any kind of number, all the way from very large to very small. In particular, we're going to learn about this thing called scientific notation. This is a way that we get to express large and extremely small numbers as something multiplied by a power of 10. It saves us writing a bunch of zeros. And this is the way that the scientific notation form looks. By the way, if you need to, please write this down. Pause the video if I'm going too fast. Pause it. Once everyone's caught up, let's move on. Now, scientific notation form, the way that it works is you have some sort of number and you multiply it by 10 to some sort of power. Okay, now the most important things to note about these two numbers, it's always got to be times 10 to the power of something. Now the number out the front, all it is it just has to be a number between 1 and 10. Okay, you cannot have 20, you cannot have 0.5. It has to be something between 1 and 10. You can have decimals. Decimals are fine. But it has to be a number between 1 and 10. And what happens is with the powers of 10, all you need to know is it needs to be a whole number, which is, we call it an integer, but there's no fractions, no decimals. That power needs to be a whole number. Now, it can be positive and it can be negative as long as it's a whole number. Okay, that's your scientific notation form. Highlight it, put it in a beautiful little box. Make sure you remember that this is the scientific notation form. Okay, pause if you have to. All right, now, here are the examples. We're going to learn to write these numbers in scientific notation form. Okay, now what we've got here is we've got a fairly large number. It's technically 24 million. But here's the way that I'm going to do it. I'm going to count some decimals. But the first thing is I know I'm going to have something times 10, and it's going to be to some sort of power. Now, the way that I would do this is I take a look at my first kind of proper numbers out the front of all the zeros, and I can see that it's 2 and 4. Now, I'm going to write those two numbers, but I have to put in a decimal to make this number between 1 and 10. So 24 is definitely greater than 10. Can't have 24, but 2.4, is that between 1 and 10? The answer is yes. Yes, it is. So far, I'm good. Now, what I want you to do is start keeping note. So I've kind of got a decimal place in between the 2 and the 4. And all I want to do now is I want to move that decimal place all the way to the end. Okay, now that's going to tell me how many spaces I need to move. So I can see I need to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have to move 7 spaces to the right. And so that means my answer here would be 2.4 times 10 to the power of 7. Okay. And maybe what I'll do for this first one, just so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So you can see I moved the 7 spaces to the right. All right. So that's how you do it for a large number. Let's see how we go with a smaller number. So again, I know I'm going to have a times 10 for scientific notation. Don't know the power yet. And I know I'm working with a 324. Now, 324, definitely more than 10. I could go 32.4, but that's still greater than 10. I'd have to put the decimal place in between the 3 and the 2. So 3.24 is definitely between 1 and 10. Now we're sweet. Okay, now same deal. I'm going to put the decimal place here, and I can see that my new decimal place is all the way over here. Okay, so I'm going to see how many spaces I need to move. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can see I need to move 4 spaces to the left. So that means it's going to be to the power of 4, but I'm not moving in the same direction. Before I was moving to the right, now I'm moving my decimal place to the left. So take a wild guess. Is it going to be positive 4? Probably not. It should be negative 4. Okay, in case, if you want an easy way to remember it, positive numbers move your decimal place to the right. Negative numbers move your decimal place to the left. okay, or negative powers of 10. Cool. Now, that's writing in scientific notation. Not too bad, I hope, but we need to be able to do it the other way around as well. And I think it actually might be easier. So now sometimes what they'll call it, they'll say write as a basic numeral. This is just a fancy way to say a normal number. We're not going to write it in any notation. It's just the actual number. Now for this one here, I've got 6.27 or 6.72, sorry, times 10 to the power of 7. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. All right, 672. And then I'm going to do this in maybe another one, and I'm going to move it 7 spaces. Now, what I'm going to do just for now is I'm going to put a whole bunch of zeros here just so I can keep track. Now, what I'll do here is right now, my decimal place is in between the 6 and the 7. So I'll move it here. And if I'm timesing it by 10 to the 7, I'm going to move it 7 spaces to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that means that's my new decimal place. I'll do it in blue. And so this here can work as my working out. And now all I'm really doing now is writing my new answer, which is 7 or 672000000. And so my answer in this particular case is 67,200,000. Okay. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, that does. Okay. Now I've done that. I should probably write equals. So again, I do one with a whole bunch of zeros just for my working out. Make sure you leave your answer as correct like this. Now for this one here, very, very similar concept. I'm going to write down the number. All right, so the number that we've got here is 4123. Now with this negative power, I know that I'm going to be moving towards the left. So that means I'm going to put a whole bunch of zeros here towards my left. And what I'm going to do is the same thing that we've done before. The decimal place was between the 4 and the 1. And this time I'm moving it 5 spaces to the left. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now my decimal place is there. I'm going to go right underneath. And now I know my answer is going to be 0.00004123. And that's my actual number. That's my basic numeral. Hope that helps. Sorry I couldn't be there today. I'll catch you guys later. All right, and bye-bye.